In 2014, a man named Ethan and his wife Dany took another weekend trip to Vancouver Island, a place they had camped many times before. Known for its mix of beautiful beaches and dense forests, it was the perfect getaway for seasoned campers like them. They had enjoyed countless peaceful trips there, until their final visit turned into a nightmare. On this particular outing, Ethan and Dany were far from any roads or signs of civilization, enjoying complete solitude. They set up their tent on a secluded beach, miles away from anyone else, keeping a small fire burning as night approached. To leave the beach, one had to walk a kilometer along the shore and then another 2 kilometers through thick forest to reach the road. Earlier that day, they had met Leon, a traveler from New Zealand who planned to sleep in his van parked near the road. They invited Leon to join them by the fire that evening. The three shared a bottle of wine and swapped stories as the sun dipped below the horizon. That's when things began to feel wrong. From the tree line behind them came the sound of female voices. At first, they assumed it was just other hikers or perhaps people on a boat offshore, the sound echoing strangely. But all three agreed. They could clearly hear 2 women talking in the bushes. As darkness fell, Leon decided to head back to his van before it got too late. Ethan and Dany stayed by the fire, trying to ignore the voices that continued faintly in the night. The couple swept the beach with flashlights several times, looking for boats or people, but found nothing. Finally, around 3 a.m., after hours of unease, the voices stopped. They doused the fire and crawled into their tent, hoping for some sleep. But 15 minutes later, footsteps crunched near their campsite. They came from inland, an area impossible to cross without making much noise. Hoping it was just a timid black bear, they stayed still. The footsteps moved from the fire to the tent, then back into the woods. Minutes later, they returned, this time accompanied by 2 female voices, loud, overlapping, speaking in an unintelligible language. The voices moved closer, circling the fire pit, then stopping directly outside the tent. For a few seconds, they stood there, whispering, babbling, and then silence. No footsteps, no voices, just the suffocating stillness of night. Frozen in fear, Ethan and Dany didn't dare move or speak. They lay awake until morning, when they finally packed up and left the island, never to return. Years later, hikers Kylie Cashwell and John Stone, residents of Eagle Mountain, Utah, experienced something equally unsettling. They often explored forests in search of odd sights, but one day in Cedar Fort, just 5 miles south of Salt Lake City, Kylie stumbled upon animal bones, strange symbols, and scattered remains. Curious, she returned on September 15th with her friend Josh to show him the bizarre findings. This time, what they discovered was far worse: a severed deer head surrounded by deer legs arranged in a pentagram. Kylie was sure it hadn't been there before. With daylight fading, they decided to head back, but soon realized they were lost. Navigating only with phone flashlights, they felt watched. Bushes rustled to their right, without any wind. Fear gripped them, and they quickened their pace. Then, a scream shattered the silence, deep, guttural, and inhuman. Panicked, they ran. Josh glanced back and saw a towering black figure stalking them. Miraculously, they made it to Kylie's car and escaped. Research later revealed that the area had a dark history of cult activity, disappearances, and unsolved murders. Kylie never returned. In northern Germany, 2 friends hiking through what was once East German territory stumbled upon periscope-like pipes, protruding from the ground. Intrigued, they found a hidden doorway covered by a wooden lid. Descending inside, they uncovered an abandoned military bunker, a maze of tunnels and decaying corridors. German graffiti on the walls read "Help" and, disturbingly, "Hello Satan, I love you." The deeper they went, the worse the stench of sewage and decay became. In one large room, a strange rusting machine sat in the middle. A single muddy shoe lay stuck to the floor, as if its owner had fled in a hurry, never returning. Historians believe it was a World War II-era Nazi bunker, but why it was abandoned so suddenly, and who left the chilling messages, remains unknown. Finally, in 2016, an avid hiker named Bill visited his brother's rural property near Downsville, New York. One afternoon, while hiking a remote trail, Bill came across a new-looking duffel bag in the middle of the woods. A foul, rotting smell seeped from it. Nervous but worried it could be a body, he prepared to unzip it, until a voice called out, "That's mine! Don't touch it!" From the trees emerged a large, filthy man in a worn jacket and jeans. He grabbed the bag, claiming it held fresh game from hunting, but hunters normally use coolers, not duffel bags, and fresh kills don't smell like that. Bill apologized and walked away quickly, hearing the man drop the bag behind him. Moments later, Bill noticed footsteps following him. When he glanced back, the man was stalking him, hiding behind trees. Terrified, Bill ran until he stumbled upon an abandoned farmhouse. He slipped inside through a back door and crawled under a cot, holding his breath as the man entered the house. Heavy footsteps, ragged breathing, moving room to room. The man entered Bill's room for a second, then left. The back door slammed shut. Bill waited 30 more agonizing minutes before fleeing, racing down a dirt path to a road where he flagged down a passing driver. Safely back at his brother's house, Bill called the police. Although what was truly inside that duffel bag was never confirmed, the stench of rot told enough of the story.